Hi everybody, I'm Rob from Rewind Video.
Bob here as well.
And we're here today with a mini episode to talk about Den of Thieves Pantera. But before we get into that, I wanted to ask you what you thought of the first Den of Thieves.
Well, I'm glad you asked. I had always been vaguely aware of the first one. I knew the name, had never seen it. And we were in the theater watching a movie together recently, and a preview for Den of Thieves 2 Pantera played. And I remember paying like no attention to the preview, and then seeing the title card at the end being like, Den of Thieves 2? That movie deserved
That means there's a 1.
Yeah, well, I was surprised that it got a sequel, because it never like registered on my radar as something
I don't think it made like a bunch of
deserving.
money in the theater or anything. I think it kind of became a hit offline, as it were.
Yeah. I think you're right.
I think it just kind of like, it must have hit, maybe it was on Netflix, I think, for a while, and people just found it there.
Yeah, it was definitely doing the rounds on streaming services for a while, but seeing that preview, which I didn't, like I said, I didn't remember a single scene from the trailer apart from the title card at the end. So I went back to the first one not knowing what to expect whatsoever. But I decided I'll give it a watch, see what it's about.
Jerry Butler.
And I fucking loved it.
Nice.
It was great. I've watched it twice since then.
Wow. That was like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. I loved the original Den of Thieves. And it had me wanting more Den of Thievery. It was one of those instances where after it was done, I literally searched movies like Den of Thieves. And
well, there's definitely some.
There's no shortage of those. I don't know that any of them live up to Den of Thieves, but then it had me thinking about something that you've been talking about for a long time. And it's Jerry Butler.
Oh yeah.
Now, you've been a fan of him. You respect the trajectory of his career and the types of movies that he's making right now. And so I'm curious where this ranks for you as somebody who knows more of the Gerard Butler filmography than I do.
I think I might surprise you a little bit with this.
Okay.
So Gerard Butler has kind of become a guy that does these 3-star action movies, for like lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Right? They're just like get the job done, basic cable action movies.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of those guys existing. I'm a fan of these kinds of movies. And I think he's kind of the poster child right now. He is like the number one guy for the 3-star actioner. Yeah,
he is today's Bruce Willis, right? I mean, like, because
Bruce Willis was like a star. Like I think he's more of like a good version of like a Steven Seagal.
But think about Bruce Willis, who was something of a heartthrob for certain people, and
no doubt,
Jerry Butler after 300, I think, was expecting his career to be like, I'm going to be in some action stuff, but I'm also going to be the guy women love to see on screen.
He was in like romantic comedies and whatever. Yeah, he was trying to be that guy. So I could say he has like that kind of a Bruce Willis career, but it's a B movie version of
right.
that. He is never close to Bruce Willis's level.
Right.
But he has settled into the guy who is like doing the movies that are like somewhere in between Steven Seagal and Bruce Willis action movies.
Yeah. Kind of like the movies Bruce Willis is making now.
Yeah. Well, it's been a while.
Better. Yeah. It has been a while. Yeah.
But yeah, like not all, majority of these kinds of movies that he's doing are like the classic. I know I'm not a half-star guy, but like 3.5. It's they're pretty good. The occasional one will like blip up to 4 stars, but like generally 3. Den of Thieves, the original. I enjoy it. To me, it's just like it's kind of it's a sloppy movie. It's a mess.
Is it?
I like it. But I am kind of surprised at the level of enthusiasm people have for it. I'm kind of surprised that you have that.
Oh, man.
Like, to me, it's like, okay, it's Heat.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of Bad Boys in there.
Yep.
They basically like just take out the Reggie scene.
A little bit of the town.
A little bit of the town. I mean, it's very much Heat. A lot of Heat.
A lot of Heat.
There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it's kind of like it feels like they took all this stuff and they wrapped it into a package with like duct tape and like tied it to a flatbed truck, and they stuck all this stuff together. But it's all being held together. You know what I mean? Like it's somehow being held together, and it gets down the road.
Yeah.
But like even like the ending is like just straight up ripped off from Usual Suspects, and it's like, did they deserve that? I don't think they did. I think it's just kind of like, but at the same time, like whatever. Like I'm not bothered by it.
No, I certainly wasn't bothered by it. I think that what makes it work, I think that the substance holding all of these weird, disparate things together are the performances, because, I mean, this is my favorite Jerry Butler character. Big Nick is...
Big Nick.
Yeah, because it feels like he is now in the Large Russ stage of his career, and he fucking plays this part so well. And I just love the character. I mean, like, the character is unhinged in a way that is captivating every time, the hinges are off.
I mean, Big Nick is definitely a mess of a character. I don't think Jerry Butler's going there, though. I think he's playing the character. And
if that's true, then I have even more respect for him. But he's not the only one. I mean, like, 50 Cent's fucking cooking here.
Yep.
O'Shea Jackson Jr., I keep loving every time he shows up. He was in the movie the Seth Rogen movie that you had up on the shelf not too long ago.
Oh, yeah.
Pablo Schreiber, who hasn't been this good since The Wire. I mean, it's got some unexpected actors, I think, playing peak parts for them. I mean, like, this is, I think, their best parts for a lot of the guys that show up here. And, it's just this movie is like seeping masculinity. Yeah. And,
there's some really good action scenes.
Really good, yeah.
There's, I don't know, the reason, to me, it's like a 3-star movie. And like I think the reason for me is that it's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, and all the personal stuff when we get into like Gerard Butler's personal life and like the home stuff, I'm like, I'm checked out. I'm like I'm feeling like, should I pick up my phone right now? Because I'm like, I'm just like, why are we watching this? And in those parts of the movie, I'm just like completely out.
Really?
Completely. And I don't know why. I'm just like, fuck, who cares? And like, that's a decent part of like the first half of the movie where I'm just like, I just don't care about it.
I find myself often advocating for the parts of the movies that you wish were cut. And I'll do it again here, because I think that for me, what works about those scenes is that Jerry Butler seems to be this cop who nobody can fuck with, and has his shit together as it relates to the job that he does. And he has nothing together as it relates to the life that he leads away from this job. So that balance, I think, is important in terms of developing his character. But
I think you get that. I think you get that aspect of his character within the first 30 seconds that you see him on screen.
Yeah.
And you don't need the rest of it. I think he shows up to the crime scene. He's fucking hungover if he isn't just fucking wasted from the night before.
He's eating an evidence donut off of the fucking...
He eats a donut out of a box that's covered in blood.
Yeah.
He's like got like booze coming out of his like eye sockets, and he's like smoking a cigarette. It's like, I know exactly what that guy's home life is like. I don't need 20 to 25 minutes of his like personal life off screen.
Yeah.
Or or it should be off screen, but like I don't need that. And so I'm just like, I got it. I don't know. It's just one of those things that's like, again, Den of Thieves 1, if it was an hour and 50 minutes, maybe it would be a 4-star movie for me. But it just seems kind of, again, sloppy,
So funny, because I think if it were an hour and 50 minutes for me, it would go down to a 3-star movie. Just because I loved this world and all the characters in it, and I just wanted more. Like, it's one of those rare instances where I would take the Netflix version of this over a series of episodes because I just want to hang out with these. Well, I don't actually in real life want to hang out with these characters, but I do want to watch them do their thing on screen.
What did you think of Pantera?
Well, I had to think about this for a minute after leaving the theater because there were some moments during this where I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I can't believe what I'm watching. And then at the end...
Like in a good way? Or a bad way?
Sometimes not in a good way. But that was out of context. And after seeing the whole movie and thinking about it, I've decided that I really, really appreciate what this movie is doing because so often we're critical of films for just being... For sequels especially being a rehash of the original. Mm-hmm. And this is not that.
It's not.
It's not. I mean, like, if the first one is Heat, this is, like, Miami Vice and...
Ronin.
Yeah.
It's basically Ronin.
And it's, I mean, for as, like tough and masculine as the first movie is, this is a bromance.
Yeah. I mean, it also, it takes a little bit of the Fast and Furious formula where it's like, well, the guy who was not on the team last time, now he's on your team this time, you know? Mm-hmm. To me, I actually enjoyed this more than the first one.
Yeah.
Still, to me, kind of a little messy, but there's not as much fat in this movie. You know, there's not as much to cut. I enjoyed the vibe of it. I enjoyed the look of it. I kind of get the same feeling with Pantera as I do with the first one in that nothing it's doing like strikes me as original. You know, it's taking all these ideas from different movies and throwing them all together, but they're doing it in a fun way. But it's just not like it's not getting over the hump. Like it doesn't do anything that's like, wow, I've never seen that before.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of stuff like, wow, I haven't seen that since this movie. You know.
Right. So, I don't disagree with you. I definitely. I mean, it's wearing its influences on its sleeve, but it's doing it really fucking well.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, I think this is true of both movies.
Excellent cast.
Excellent cast. I think the heists are both fun to watch in both movies and incredibly, like, well executed. And, yeah, the second one, in spite of some of those scenes that I was like kind of raising an eyebrow at,
like what scenes? I'm curious.
Like the dance club scene where they're kind of high on ecstasy and chanting "fuck NATO," and then riding scooters together.
That's why I thought it was like kind of a fun. It was kind of just like a vibes movie, you know. And like I honestly I don't really understand what they were trying to do with the heist. You know, because it's like, I don't understand, because it's like, well, we got to get this thing back for the people we stole it from. It's like, well, what were you going to do in the first place? Like, you know what I mean? It was just one of those things that's like, they didn't do a good job of explaining it in a way, but like, I kind of didn't care because it didn't seem like the movie was about that as much as the first one was.
I think that what they were trying to do with the heist is stealing that diamond at the beginning was about getting something that would earn them an opportunity to get into that World Diamond Center building, and there was never necessarily a plan to get that diamond back, and then they had to, but they were only really interested in robbing that building.
That's what I got, but then like I never got the impression that it's like, well, cool, now like let's rob this building. You know what I mean? Like they went there, they're like, let's get that thing we were looking for. It's like, well, you're the ones that put it in there, motherfucker. Like,
now you want it back?
Like, why aren't you concerned with the stuff that you were trying to steal? But I don't know. It wasn't clear. It's like, well, what was the plan? You know, just like you created this thing that we were going to steal. It's like, well, you put it in there.
Yeah. That's
so
true.
I'm like, what is? But again, it's like this movie didn't seem like it was about that as much. You know? It was just like, you know, Gerard Butler and O'Shea Jackson are going to like do drugs and hang out in Europe.
Yeah.
Driving fast cars and like getting in chases. Like, that's fine.
Which is cool.
Yeah, I'll take it.
And I like getting more of O'Shea Jackson in this movie because like now that you know who he is, and I mean he's supposed to be like a genius and you know the mastermind behind these heists, but you don't really get to see him do what he does well in the first movie because that's something of a secret. Yeah. And here it's fun to watch him play a bigger role. But I also like that Jerry Butler, who now in this stage of his life. He's been fired from his job after the first film, and like he is taken a bit of a turn. Like I love where he's practically living in his car.
Yeah.
And he has that great line, like, I love my car.
That's such a great line.
It's so good.
It did not answer the question.
Are you living in your car? I love my car. But like I appreciate that they're not just giving us the same movie or the same characters in the same place in life that they were in the first film. So like I wish more sequels evolved the world in the way that this one does. So
and it's evolved. It's almost like if they make a Den of Thieves 3, it's like, well, what movies are they going to rip off for that one? You know, like if it just turns into that, it's like we're going to keep making like movies that are just takes on other stuff that involve these characters, and it's a crime movie. You know, like okay, like I'm not. There's no way I'm going to complain about that.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm perfectly happy. So I guess this is an easy question. Do you recommend this movie?
100%. But I also recommend seeing the first one first, which you have to.
I don't know that you have to though.
I think you have to.
I mean, I guess if you don't want the first movie spoiled, I guess that's the part, you know. But like, if you go into Pantera blind, you'll get it. There's not that much you need to know from the first one.
I think you're
like a Fast and Furious
right
movie in that sense, right?
I think you're probably right, but I think you're denying yourself so much pleasure from seeing the first movie if you don't see it.
I agree. You should see the first one.
Yeah.
You definitely should see the first one before this.
Yeah.
Definitely popcorn for me.
Oh yeah.
I really enjoyed it. It's worth a trip to the theater.
Yep.
I'm glad that Gerard Butler has become this like January action guy. You know,
yeah.
Last year we got Plane. This year we get Den of Thieves 2.
Right. Well, I was going to ask, what is your next Jerry Butler movie for me to watch now that I'm just craving more Butler?
Well, have you not seen the Has Fallen movies?
I've seen at least 1.5 of them, but not consecutively.
You should watch those.
Okay. All right.
I think the third one is the best of the 3.
Yeah.
But they're all, 3-star action movies.
Okay.
Totally enjoyable.
Okay. Good.
It's exactly what you want out of a movie about the White House getting attacked with Gerard. Like is Gerard Butler in the Secret Service?
Yeah.
The White House gets attacked. Okay.
Yeah.
Right?
I will say that when there were several scenes in this movie, especially at the very end when we're in the car with Jerry Butler, where you look at him and he looks almost identical to Russell Crowe from about 10 years ago. I mean, it's almost indistinguishable.
I think he like put on some weight for this part or something.
I know he put on like 20 pounds for the original movie, and I think he's heavier.
Yeah, he might be.
Which, love it.
Yeah. So he's a treasure, a Scottish treasure. Yes. So I think that's a wrap on our thoughts about Den of Thieves Pantera.
Yeah, go see it.
Yeah. I'm not putting the 2 in there.
Just Den of Thieves Pantera.
That's what it was in the actual movie.
Okay.
All the marketing says 2, but I'm just Den of Thieves. I think Pantera is just Den of Thieves Pantera.
It's a great subtitle for a sequel.
Yeah, it's badass.
Yeah.
So be sure to check out our regular episodes every other Thursday and follow us at our website at rewindvideopod.com, and we will see you next time.